y'all. On today's podcast, we celebrate Michele getting nearly 2,000 email subscribers.
Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now, we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week. Super excited to help another member of the Flip Your Life community and to celebrate some of their recent successes. And I'm excited to talk to our guest today, all the way from Melbourne, Australia.
Got
Michele.
up at 4 a.m.
Got up at 4 a.m. That's dedicated. That's being prolific, guys. That's doing what it takes to win.
It's making it happen.
Michele Hayes, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Shane and Jocelyn. It's quite an honor to talk to you both.
Well, we are really excited that you're here and kind of shocked that you got up at 4 a.m.
Yeah. When we looked at the calendar and Jocelyn looks over at me and goes, wait a minute, she's in Melbourne? I think it's like 4 a.m. there. And I'm like, oh, come on. We could have done better on the scheduling for you here.
Yeah, well, I know how
But
to.
she picked the time, guys. We didn't make her do it. I promise.
So I have a lot of friends in Australia, and I know the time conversion like pretty much instantly because I talk to them so often. So when I saw the time, I was like, oh my goodness, it's so early.
Jocelyn has like a little mastermind, and everyone's in Australia but her in one of the ones that she hangs out with. So it's pretty funny.
Oh, not very friendly for your end, probably.
Yeah, well, we talk late at night, and it's like early in the morning for them, so it works out.
It works out pretty good.
Okay.
So we brought you on today because we noticed that you had a really amazing success story in the community, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. So let's start out. Tell everybody a little bit about you and what you are doing online.
Okay. I have a site for teachers I'll give you a really short background because I could literally be here for hours, so I won't do that. So I started as a teacher, and I used to work as an in-person consultant. I left full-time teaching to do that, and it wasn't my product. It's a great product, but it wasn't my product. And I would actually physically go out to schools and sort of run this well-being resource. So, which actually fell sort of in the Catholic education space, but it was a little bit religious education and a little bit well-being, which was, relationships basically. And it was great, and it is great. It still is great. But there were a lot of powers at play that were nothing to do with me that were happening behind the scenes. But the guy I bought it from sold one of the books that they used, like a kid's user book workbook. And he talked about, getting a bit of passive income from that. It was kind of the first time I'd even heard that expression. And schools are dropping off. You probably know what it's like to market to schools, and it can be a little bit tricky sometimes. And because it wasn't mine, I could only convince people so much. And then there were all the other variables at play in politics and things. And so I started one night, I was in bed and I went, so I have I had two part-time teaching jobs as well to keep the money going. And I was doing relief teaching and I work in a theatre as well. And I work for a university as a bit of a consultant with pre-service teachers. So I've got a few things going on. And I thought, it'd be really nice to get some money in and not have to physically go and do all this stuff.
Yeah, that would be better than 7 jobs. That would be better.
Yeah.
Yes, Michele, that would be better.
And so I looked and I went, how can teachers make passive income online? And ta-da, you turned up, not via Patslin, strangely. I was probably the first person who said that to you. And I found you on the Forbes interview, and I went, oh my gosh, the teachers! Oh, look at this story! Oh, wow! Oh, I could do this, and here I am.
I love it. I love your enthusiasm too.
Yeah, you're very excited about this. What is your teacher site about? Is it about the well-being stuff? Is it about something else? Like, what is it about?
It is about well-being. I looked at sort of all the curriculum things and things similar to what you guys did initially, and I thought, and when honestly, it took me probably 6 to 9 months. I remember posting in the forum really early on, going, I'm in the education space, but I could do all these things. What do I do? And people said, look, just get started. And, you know, what you think it is now is not what it'll turn out to be. And they were so right. I have 2 master's degrees, and one is in music education and the other is in student wellbeing. I also teach Japanese. So I'm like, oh, do I go this way, that way? And I went, I'll just put it out there and start kind of putting out feelers. And then the advantage of working physically with so many people was I started tuning into what people were talking about, their problems were and what they found hard. And I was kind of listening for common themes and asking people questions. And the number one thing that came up was dealing with student behaviour. And I went, okay, well, I know quite a bit about that, and I've made all the mistakes, and so that essentially is what really what I'm about is supporting teachers to equip themselves with the tools that they can minimise their stress within teaching and have better relationships with their colleagues, with their students, with parents, and not leave the profession so quickly.
So that's fascinating, because like that's a crazy marketable pain point. Like, because let me tell you something. I used to have 170 high school juniors a day, and I get it, right? But then you have all of the, you know, different things that you got. There's politics in the school. There's relationships with other teachers. There's, you know, all these things that you have to balance. And this is it's a niche, definitely. It's definitely a niche problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could be marketed to any teacher group, like easily. Like you could, I mean, any teacher could benefit from better well-being and knowing how to manage student problems and knowing how to manage these like all the things that cause you to hate your job and leave the profession. Like, that's the fix, right? So you still like your job and you like the kids and you get to go home without stress every day.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. And it's not a shortcut fix. You know, it's not as simple as, hey, here's my lesson plan. It requires some self-development. But a lot of people are looking for that anyway.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And everybody's looking for a better day of work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk. So what did you start creating? Did you start blogging? Did you start podcasting? Did you start YouTubing? What did you do to start creating content around this? And then the big win that we want to talk about, we actually saw this in the success forums. You got over 1,000 people on your email list, which is an awesome thing. I mean, Jocelyn and I launched our entire online world with 250 people on a list. So you're already 4 times bigger than we are at that stage. You know what I'm saying? And then like now it's even grown. It's like over 1,500, 1,600. It's going toward 2,000 now. So what kind of content are you creating? And then how did you grow that list?
Yes, it's kind of nuts. I started blogging, and I had a really kind of lame Wix website. And I started wanting to do things that I had no idea how to manage the back end of things at all. But I was blogging every week, and it was about topics like why you don't use rewards with kids, or also, well, I wrote one about how important specialist primary teachers are, or elementary in your case. And that kind of went a bit nuts, and people started sort of sharing on other websites, and I did that, and I have a Facebook page, and I love writing, so it's easy, and teachers like reading. I enjoy a lot of them anyway, not all of them. And, you know, I thought, I've got a YouTube. I've got, 2 really lame videos on YouTube, so that hasn't quite taken off yet. So I'm like, I don't actively promote that. And I do want to do a podcast, but I'm like, I suffer very much from the shiny object syndrome.
But you found something that worked, though. You found blogging.
Yeah.
Like
blogging
that's good.
And then I worked with a bit of a local mentor, and it took me ages, but I've come up with this very successful lead magnet on Facebook. So I've got this paid Facebook ad that I do, and that's where the vast majority of the people have come from. I also ran some free in-person live workshops here in February. Got them in just before everything shut down. And some of those people, one of those is a very dedicated member. So yeah, I've got some sort of what was free traffic, in the sense that, I mean, I had to physically turn up and kind of buy them.
What I love to hear is the flow, because this is the flow that we teach. You know, you have to be consistent with content. So you find, what does you always say about it's like the intersection of I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
so the best type of content is the intersection of what people want to consume and what you're willing to create.
Right. So you figured out,
Mm,
oh, teachers like to read, most of them, and I like to write, so yeah, I don't need to do all these other things. Like I like to talk. That's why I podcast. That's all I do. I talk to people.
yeah.
I don't write as much except for my emails anymore. I don't write blog posts. I don't do any of those things. But you found your thing, and that got attention because you did it consistently. And then this is the part that I love. You used a social media platform prolifically to go out
Mm,
and promote your content and to promote this lead magnet that built the list. And I love that you were willing to invest once you got your systems in place, that you were willing to say, hey, I'm going to spend a little money and I'm going to try and grow out an audience. And I think if I heard this correctly, did you just say that you do have members? Your membership is launched and you do have members in your membership site now, right?
I do, and they're beautiful. There aren't as many of them as I'd like, but they're very good quality. So it's a good start.
That's exactly right. And that's half the battle, is getting the right fit into your
Mm,
membership. If you get the wrong fit, quality is always better. Quantity is good. I mean, I'd rather have 1,000 people paying me $50 a month than 30.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
want
sure.
quantity. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I want the
Yeah.
quality too. I do want the quality as well. And I assume that a couple of those sounds like from workshops, but some of those did come from the email list, your members.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I forgot to mention was when following your lead with the virtual summit, which was absolutely brilliant. I thought, because I like where everybody probably reacted to, oh, is this the time to be pushing this? And maybe I should take my ad down because it's my top 5 tips for managing a classroom. And I thought, well,
Nobody's in the
shutting
classroom.
down.
That's kind of
This
bad timing, right?
this is going to be a bit irrelevant and it's maybe a bit insensitive. And of course, the absolute opposite happened, and 4 times as many actually jumped onto because they're online.
Isn't that
So
crazy?
yeah, and more like seriously, and I'm picking it up and like, oh, there's another 25. Oh, there's another 50. And it almost, you become almost a bit complacent about it. But I also then ran some free webinars on the challenges of teaching remotely
Oh,
and
smart.
stopping people calling it homeschooling because it was driving me crazy.
And really, that's not a huge pivot. Like, it's like you teach people how to manage a classroom, but then all of a sudden you have to, how do you manage a classroom when it's on Zoom or, like things like that.
Yeah, many of these people have never done anything like that in their lives.
Yes,
Oh,
and
my
it's
word.
and holding down the fort in a virtual room is way different than in a real room. You can, hey, I'm right here with you, right? But you can't do that when they're playing Xbox during class at home.
No.
Not that my son was doing that one day.
No.
Love it. That's it. Yeah. And I was so grateful, of course, because I'm like, hey, I've been watching it a lot, but I've been online working with people for nearly a year now, so I've learned some things.
Let me share them with you, and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And that's what's really, and another thing that I think is very highlighted here is when all this started back at the beginning of 2020 as well, we were, like everybody else, confused, disoriented. What does this mean for our business model? And especially because we still own an education company. Like, we still sell resources to schools and teachers, right?
Yeah.
And the craziest thing happened. It grew. It grew during the pandemic. It grew as schools were canceling. And it was because our messaging changed a little bit. I put up an ad that and I sent some emails that basically said, our stuff works online. I removed a part of our terms and conditions that said they couldn't share it into a database. And I said, hey, if you're using Google Cloud, I just made a slight change to our terms and conditions and said, hey, we're going to open this up and we're going to allow you to use it in the way you can use it now. So we were able to just barely bend and not really even pivot. And you did the exact same thing, and you found a way to grow in the environment you were in. That's the goal, right? Is just to find a way to grow when you can grow, and however you can do it tastefully. And you did that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I find, it was so slow going. I mean, I was all in when I started this in May last year, but it probably took me until November, December, because I gave up one of my teaching jobs, and I've reduced my relief teaching. I'm like, no, I need to give this the time it deserves. The other thing I did, by the way, was jump on Kajabi, which made a massive difference getting out of it.
Shameless plug for Kajabi. How that is amazing.
Kajabi Hero.
Yeah,
Kajabi Hero.
It's unbelievable. And like, that's all we're teaching now is like, we had this huge WordPress course, and we just took that down recently.
Oh yeah, good.
Because we spent about a year researching this deeply. And all the systems have warts. I'm not saying that anything is perfect by far, but I bought ClickFunnels. I bought Kajabi. I went into Teachable. I talked about Kartra with people who were running on it. I'm not even going to talk about Infusionsoft because I'd like to strangle Infusionsoft half the time.
Okay.
Like, we found Kajabi, and the weekend that I set up my first sales funnel and my first web page on it, I went over to Jocelyn and I said, this is it. Like, this is the thing that we are definitely going to be promoting and using to teach people. Because my goal was find a platform that someone could create a whole business in a week. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we found with Kajabi. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody out there wants to check out Kajabi, fliplifestyle.com/Kajabi. You can check that out. We're partners. It's amazing.
And they were having a 28-day free trial. I'm pretty sure that's still going on.
That's probably still going on. So check that out.
Yeah, they're so good.
So when you switched over from Kajabi to Wix, was your world just like, this is better?
Yeah. It just, everything.
That's right.
I knew what you mean. I could do all the things that I've been wanting to do that were taking me like 4 or 5 hours to try and create a coupon for people to have a discount, which I couldn't do on Wix, and like all this stuff. I mean, there were some good things on Wix, but you get what you pay for. And I went, I'm forking out, more money than I'm making right now. But if I don't invest in this infrastructure, and if I don't get this platform right, and at least when I know it's set up properly, then it's set up properly, and then I'm comfortable knowing how to manage it. And of course, my customer support person is just brilliant.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. It's actually it's so refreshing when you talk to their chat and they actually help you do the thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, so good.
And how much is your membership a month, Michele?
Well, I have, and upon your advice, may modify it slightly. But I have a 29, a 49, and a 69.
And what do you find most people are taking?
At the moment, I've kind of have started them. They're on a dollar trial anyway initially.
Yeah.
But I've started them on the 29 initially.
Well, and I assume you're on the normal. It's like 149, the plan you're on, Kajabi or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is Australian. So it's only six members. Like once you get 6 renewals, that's going to cover itself.
And when did you start selling this? Like when did you launch the membership?
I did it properly, I guess, sort of February, March, so not fabulous timing. So, I mean, a couple of these people, they had sort of had a foot in the door anyway. One lady came in completely out of nowhere from my webinar, just saw the webinar ad on Facebook, and she said, she's amazing. And she said, you're exactly who I've been looking for, and you just came out of nowhere. Well, you didn't really come out of nowhere, and I don't believe in that, and I believe in bigger things than that, and you're just who I needed. And but I do know that having all the structure and everything, all the systems in place,
makes it easier to promote it.
Pivot, made it easy to adapt to COVID and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Well, I know we talked a little bit off air, and this is very interesting. I just wanted to get that context because the thing is now, okay, so you've built this list, 1,600. It's going to be 2,000 eventually, pretty soon. Like you're building this list. We're recording this for everybody for context in June. Early June of 2020. Okay. And what we've got to do now is, you've got over 1,000 emails. You should have 50 members, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's got to be 50 members hiding in there somewhere. And these people are paying attention to you on your blog and these things like that, right? So the goal now is to figure out a solid strategy for you to grow to 100 members fast, right?
That'd be great.
Yes, and figure out the timing of that. And I think that 29, I don't understand the tiers. I think we might need to clean that up a little bit for simplicity's sake.
Sure.
Like, I think this one is not like lesson plans. This is more coaching. This is more, like you said, personal development, which is usually you want to, let's just go ahead and maybe you do a little push for 29, but I think 49 is fine for this. I don't think there's any problem. At a $49 a month price, maybe a $490 annual, and I don't know what the other tiers are, but I think you might need to simplify that and just say, hey, here's everything you get, right, in one place, and let's just focus on one tier right now, okay?
Great.
It's so much better when you start a membership not to have tiers.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is, because you've got, if you look at ours, like we don't really even have tiers. We've tried
Mm.
tiers and we've experimented with tiers,
And
but
there's something to be said for an anchor price. I
yes,
mean, a lot of times people do that,
and so
there's nothing wrong with it necessarily.
nothing wrong. But like for your own sanity and the ease of selling this and getting this thing grown, it's probably easier to pick one price to promote. Okay. I would pick
for
the high
now. You can always change it.
Yeah, we have tiers now. Like we have, we have kind of tiers. Like you have the Flip Your Life community, which is like how to get to 100 members and grow your membership and build this core business. But then the Membership Masters newsletter is all about making $1 million membership, right? Like so it's the next tier. It costs $197 a month. It's a different thing, that comes, but let's build the core business first and then grow it out. Okay.
Right.
It's going to make it easier for you. So I would definitely do $49 a month. I think that's worth it. I know teachers will pay it. Jocelyn sold stuff to teachers for $49 a month.
And people will say, oh, they won't buy it, but they will.
They will. Some of them will.
Okay.
And you actually have an advantage because your market's broader, because you can target this at teachers, educators, not just math teachers or English teachers or whatever. Okay. And then what's weird is the timing. Every niche has a calendar. Marketing to football coaches is not the same as elementary librarians, is the same to parents, is the same to business opportunities or whatever, right? Like, if you're into goal setting, your best time is in December because January 1st is coming, right? Like every niche has a calendar. And the problem is your calendar. Like, what's the school calendar look like in Australia? That's my first question. And then also the second question is it still going to look that way come the fall? Because in America, everything's changing, right?
I think you guys are starting January, right?
Yeah, we run pretty much to the calendar year. We start at the end of January, start of February, and finish. So Christmas is end of school year for us.
Okay, gotcha.
So everything happens at once here. It's
yeah. So do you go 12 months out of the year, or do you have like vacation breaks, or?
We have a full of most of the country has a 4-term system. So we have sort of 10 or 11 weeks and then 2-week break.
I gotcha. So you kind of just rotate.
And then a longer summer break. So
now school is, as we're speaking, is school still out? Is anybody in school?
No, we've pretty much all gone back. One state in South Australia, they stopped for about a week and then they had hardly any cases, shut their borders and you can all stay out. We're keeping everybody here. So it's looked slightly different around the country, but where I am, we've got all of our senior, secondary and junior primary kids back, and then the others are phasing back in next week.
Yeah. And then where do you think most of your emails are coming from? Are they coming from the United States? Or are they coming from Australia?
No. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The relation I made in my ad is that it had to be English because that's what I speak and I can't translate all enough going on. I'm huge in Africa. I'm huge in Asia. And I do have some dotted around other places. There are some places I haven't even heard of, which is great. Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm glad I'm reaching you. South America, probably less in the US. And I would like more Australian people. I do have obviously some Australian people as well. So then, of course, it's then can these teach, because sometimes people reply to my emails. I say, we're the poorest paid civil servants in our country.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think one thing I would do this summer, this is, we do that too. Like sometimes we expand it out, but there are places that can't buy these services, and like we try to limit all of our advertising to places that are interested that can't afford it. Right. Like, for example, when I run ads for U.S. history teachers, I don't show it anywhere but America. Cool. Like nobody cares. Right?
Yeah, like nobody cares about U.S. history.
They're going to teach their own history. You're teaching Australian history. You might talk about us, but you're going to teach it from that perspective, right?
Yeah.
So like I would limit your advertising to English speaking places like in the western part, maybe South Africa.
That doesn't mean that nobody's going to find out about you. I mean, they probably will.
I would definitely have ads running only to Australia because one, that's who's going to sound like you. That's who's going to see you. And you're going to understand like, okay, managing a class here is different than there. Like they're going to understand that, right? And I would definitely block it off to the United States. But your messaging is going to be very different. You might have to work on your ads a little. The Australian ads, you can go full in what you're talking about right now because you guys are apparently getting a little back to normal. However,
over here,
things are very different here. Like
it doesn't look like it's going to be any time in the near future.
We may not even, like our school district is actually talking about not having school in the fall. and staying virtually all the way to spring. And if we
Wow.
do go back, then we're going to have like rotating blocks. Like some kids will come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Some kids will come Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
That's weird, right? That's going to cause all kinds of
Mm.
disruption. But
Mm.
that's a perfect pitch. Hey guys, I know all about well-being. I know all about classroom management. And you say, American teachers, did you know that in the fall, you thought it was bad before? Do you know how disruptive it's going to be when you only see Timmy on Monday and Wednesday and he goes home on Tuesday and doesn't do anything? Do you know how hard it's going to be to keep up with which kids are coming in and out every day? And you could create just a module, just one little strategy thing that you could promote that is like how to promote that well-being and that management
in a
post-COVID world, right?
Okay.
And that's the angle. And I think that's going to, I'm not saying today you're going to understand what to put out there, but that's going to influence definitely your lead magnets going into the summer. But it's also going to influence your product, influence your pitches, influence everything. But if you can use that now, I mean, you got 2 good months before back to school in America. Australia's already ramping up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's your promotional angle right now. And some people are probably listening to this and be like, oh, I can't believe you try to make money off of a crisis. Let me tell you something. There's a huge difference in making money during a crisis, serving people, and making money off of a crisis. We're not price gouging bread, for crying out loud
or
here.
We're not pretending to have a charity that with proceeds going toward
all proceeds go to me. That's where they go, right?
Yeah, we would not do that.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not what I'm talking about here. You have a legitimate audience that has a legitimate problem because of the crisis.
And there's nothing wrong with coming up to a solution for that problem and getting people to pay you for that solution. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong
with that. So like that's the bend. It's not really the pivot. It's just the bend to your marketing. That's how your marketing is going to work. You're still selling the same membership. You're still selling well-being, classroom management, and nothing really probably even about the tactics you teach is going to change. It's just going to be like, hey guys, we've got a 10% influence here that we've got to deal with. And you don't know how to deal with it, but I have so much experience in this area that I've got some ideas that may be closer to a good solution than you could come up with on your own. And I'm going to put you in a community of other people
where you can talk
about this, the same goals and things like that. So being able to promote properly over the next 2 months is going to help your audience grow. Being able to target down to people where they're not like, hey, our economy is so different that it's not even the same money or language, right? You've got to target places that this is going to not only serve and not only grow your list, but also can buy stuff for you.
Yeah.
You know,
that's kind of important.
That's kind of important.
Yeah.
So, and I think if you focus that down to like Australia, Canada, the United States, you know, like really limit it. It'll help you to reach the right people, tighten up your message, have one product, one price point to promote. You know, your dollar trials renew at $49 and that's it, right? You upsell into an annual and that's it. And then it's just go get more members at that point. Let's talk to your list, talk to them about these issues and being relevant. And that's, man, I'm telling you, I don't see why people wouldn't jump all over it, you know?
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah. So does any of that make sense or is overwhelming?
Yeah,
do you have follow-up questions for that? Like, what can we do to go deeper with you if you want to?
That's perfect. I've written down some notes, and it's really easy because I know, you know, getting the Facebook ad right was took a few goes. They rejected me a couple of times, but because it's worked, I haven't messed with it. But I'm like, yeah. And also, South Africa is one country. One of my members is in South Africa, so at least that's a little bit closer fit. But yeah, the targeting and getting it in the right places. You know, I'm quite polarizing, which I'm okay with.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
good.
there are plenty of teachers in the US who would probably, if they could like, you know, come down and punch me in the face because they so strongly disagree with what I say. And, you know,
loved, hated, never ignored, Michele. That's how you got to live your life. Loved, hated, or never ignored. That's it. You know?
So, but no, it's easy. I can then dupe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using the same lead back, I don't think, because it's kind of top tips for managing your classroom. But anyway, I can duplicate it and mess with it a bit. And as I say, target.
Well, no, the
those
lead magnet
specific,
can be the same. It's just the ad is
the
different.
language.
What's the lead magnet's title again?
Top 5 tips for managing a classroom.
Top 5 tips for managing a classroom in the post-COVID world. That's all you got to, or in the new era of schooling. You can't, you don't want to say coronavirus or COVID, but you could say, you could try it and see if it would look it out. But everything is going to change when we all go back to school, right? Like, let me show you how to get the kids back in order and back in everything and whatever, and if you can manage it that way, then people will be on board with it. But it's not the lead magnets don't ever have to change. You just have to, it's just the message on the ad that changes, right? The language. If you can get that right, then that's how you promote things. Marketing is funny. You only need one product, and you really only need one lead magnet. You just need to be able to present it 100 different ways. Like that's marketing, right? I need to be able to present my membership. Ooh, let's do a free trial. Ooh, let's do a $1 trial. Hey, join for the month. Hey, join for the quarter. Hey, join for the year. It's the same thing. It's the same product. I'm just using different promotions.
You're just finding a way to make it relevant in different circumstances.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you, because that's I know I've got a lot of things right. I've got plenty of content and all of that, but the marketing side of it, which clearly is key, has been the hardest part for me, I guess.
And here's the thing, though.
Talking.
You've got a product converts, and what I'm hearing is you've got a product that the members who have joined love, and that means right now your only job is getting that product in front of more people. That's your job. Like, yes, you create content, yes, you do this, but you've got to promote and get that in front of more people. And if you do that, you're gonna get more members.
Okay.
All right, Michele, it has been a lot of fun speaking with you today, and I can't wait to see what happens next in your membership community. I know that you have a lot of members just waiting for you to help them with their classroom management and leadership. So before we go, we always like to ask our guests, what is one thing that you plan to take action on based on what we talked about today?
I'm going to go later today, and I'm going to change those ads and target those specific audiences and reach a few more people that I know can benefit from this and get them on board the membership.
Love it. That is an amazing plan. And, we always wrap up all of our episodes of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast with a Bible verse. And we're super excited because Michele said she wanted to share a Bible verse today. And we love it when we can give that opportunity to one of our members. So, Michele, why don't you just take it away?
Thank you. Well, this is Jeremiah 29, verse 11, and it's a fairly simple one, which is, my plans for you are for peace, not disaster, holding for you a future full of hope. And particularly with everything going on in the US as well, I think that's particularly relevant and pertinent to our time. But, it's personal, but it's also kind of global.
Love it.
Oh, man, that's a great Bible verse. And we could all use a little more of that peace and hope right now with what is going on. But you know what? You can reach out through your membership, through your community, through your blog, through your email list. And you can have some influence, and you can have that through your online business. That's one of the reasons why we love online business and we love membership so much, is because we do get a chance to impact other people as well. All right, guys, before we go, we want to share a can't miss moment with you. These are moments that Jocelyn and I get to experience or get to have that we might not have been able to have if we were still working those 9-to-5 paycheck to paycheck jobs that we used to have. And I think that mine this week is going to be buying a golden snitch. So
of all things.
Of all things. So like many people around the country and the world, things are starting to open back up a little bit, and our bookstore opened recently. And our kids love to go to the bookstore. They love going down there, and they look more at the toys than the books, but it's just a really fun experience. And we're just trying to get them around the books as much as possible. And we went in the other day and we were looking at the Harry Potter stuff. Jocelyn has read, what book are you guys on right now?
We're on number 4.
Jocelyn has read out loud 4 Harry Potter books to our kids.
That's a lot of reading.
That's a lot of reading, a lot of speaking for Jocelyn especially. And but our kids love it. It's the favorite. Like we were like, do you want to listen to audiobooks? Do you want to read them yourselves? And
they're like, no, we want you to read it.
No, we want mom to read every word, right? But anyway, we're Harry Potter people around here, yo. And we love Harry Potter. And we were looking at all the Harry Potter stuff, and there was a robot golden snitch drone that Anna Joe found.
And of course, she said, "Dad, can I have it?
Can I have this?"
And of course,
I don't say no to Anna Joe. So I actually looked at this thing. I didn't even look at the price. I was just like, that's pretty awesome, because it had motion sensors. So if you get near the golden snitch, it moves away from you. But then it just started crashing when we bought it. So it was pretty amazing. But what was interesting was, and I realized this on the way home, I went through, bought it. I bought a couple books. We came all the way home. They were playing with it. And, in passing, Jocelyn was like, how much was that? And I didn't even know. I didn't even look at it. I didn't even think.
Well, because it wasn't working.
I know, right? She was like, how much was that? Yeah. I think our kids broke it within 10 minutes of actually buying the thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how much it was. And like, if you could take me back 8 years, I would know every penny, every dime, everything we spent, Dave Ramsey style, to the thing. And it's just nice to be able to have enough margin in your life, by making money online, by having your own business, where you can look down and say, yeah, we're going to randomly get a golden snitch that's going to break here in a couple hours, because you know what? It's pretty cool. So that's my can't miss moment this week. And if you would like to have more resources to create can't miss moments for you and your family, we would love to help you do that inside of the Flip Your Life community. Just like Michele, you can go out and start your podcast, start your website, start your blog, start your business, start building an email list, and even launch a membership site of your own. All you need is 100 people to pay you $50 a month, and you'll make $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year. If you get 200 people, that's 6 figures online, and it's closer than you think. So check it out. You can join a free trial to the Flip Your Life community at flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free. You can get a 30-day trial, have access to all of our courses, all of our member calls, all of our community, access to me and Jocelyn and our team as well. That's flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Got a lot going on. We're not getting out of the house a lot. Oh, yesterday, I'm going to talk about the golden snitch. And
I'm not talking about anything.
Wasted money. All right.